Happy Monday to the state of South Carolina, and welcome into Palmetto Sports Daily. I'm Carmine Jamay right here in Greenville. We have Kevin Bilodeau in Charleston, Rick Henry in Columbia, and Tegan Brown in Myrtle Beach. And guys, unfortunately, we have to start off with some somber news because Clemson football tight end, former all-conference basketball player Ian Shefflin was arrested over the weekend on suspicion of DUI in the early morning hours of Sunday around 1:30 a.m. And according to this report, the officer stopped Ian Shefflin around 1:37 a.m. While the officer was driving around 40 miles per hour in Clemson, noticed a car rapidly approaching his vehicle, and then the police report states that this officer observed the vehicle swerve over the double yellow line, and then that's when Shefflin was pulled over. It's his first offense, and he was charged with driving under the influence without BA, which is basically he didn't submit to a breathalyzer test, and then was bailed out on bond at 9:10 in the morning. So is out now. And Dabo Swinney, the head coach of Clemson football, of course, releasing a statement, quote, "We are aware of Ian Shefflin's arrest on suspicion of DUI. Clemson Athletics has a clear policy by which we will abide, so Ian will miss some competition to start this season as a consequence. We're obviously very disappointed by the situation, but we are very thankful no others were involved and no one was hurt." That's the official statement from Coach Dabo Swinney. So, and according to the Clemson Athlete Handbook, guys, player who's arrested or charged with DUI will be withheld immediately from not less than the next 10% of the competition. So the head coach will recommend within a week, so by next Sunday early morning, so you have to figure by Saturday, within 7 days, a course of action, and upon review, the director of athletics will put down further punishments if warranted. So basically, just to dissect that legalese there, we'll hear from Dabo and what the punishment is exactly going to be within a week's time. But Kevin, your thoughts on an unfortunate situation and such a positive story up to this point, because the chef, everybody at Little John Coliseum wearing the chef hats, supporting him, a grinder, a tough guy, a lot of people who somebody can get behind transferring over to football and trying his hand at tight end for one more year. And really unfortunate to get this news over the weekend.
Yeah, stupid move by him. No excuse whatsoever, especially on a college campus where you got to figure the opportunity to get rides, whether it's Uber or any other kind of ride-sharing app or having anyone else drive you. You figure the options are almost unlimited for a guy like Shefflin. So this was a stupid decision on his part. I'm guessing he's going to miss at least a game, probably a couple games. I think is probably the right move for what Clemson's got coming up so far this season. Curious to see what Dabo Swinney has to say once he goes in front of the cameras coming up later this week. Rick, what do you think is a proper punishment for Shefflin going forward?
Okay, now the handbook, Carmine, it says 10% of competition, at least 10%.
Yes, that's right.
So I guess we're talking like 10% of 12 games at the least. So that's a little over a game.
Right. Yeah, that math adds up. Yep.
Yeah, well, and the fact that, I got to give it to Clemson in their handbook. It says if a student athlete is arrested, then that means they're going to lose 10% of competition. It doesn't say, if proven guilty or innocent, just arrested. But a word of caution to all student athletes out there and all young people. If you're going to drink, don't drive. And like Kevin said, there's plenty of rideshare options, or have a friend drive you around. Do not speed, especially in a small college town, because that's not going to end well for you. I hope he will bounce back from this, learn a lesson, and go on to have a great season of Clemson football. Tegan?
Yeah, Rick. I mean, I really do hope he learns a lesson from this. I'm glad that nobody was hurt as part of this lesson. Get a ride, call a friend, everything everybody else has said. I think that hopefully we'll kind of hear from Dabo soon about the plan for him, but it definitely a shame. It was a great storyline for the season, just seeing him switch from the hardwood to the gridiron and hearing what Dabo has said about him so far during his offseason, the work that he's put in there. So definitely a shame, but you know what? It's his actions. He has to face the consequences, Carmine.
Yeah, great point, guys. And all he can do now, let alone life-threatening, but very embarrassing to have this out there and so public, and us talking about it on the show, every single outlet putting it out there, and something that you don't often see from any team in Clemson, let alone football, as far as trouble with the law. So, like you guys said, just got to learn from that major mistake, come back from it, and hope to see him have a positive impact on the team going forward. But speaking of positives, Rick, we have some first-team preseason. I know Kevin's excited. It's another preseason or award watch list for some of our players. So, Rick, a little positive out of the college football scene.
Oh, yeah. And again, hey, let's remember, it's still talking season until they kick off the season for real. And this is some good news to talk about. Cade Klubnik, Peter Woods for Clemson, and Dylan Stewart for USC named to the preseason AP All-American first team. And that's a big deal. Anytime you can make an AP team. But, hey, these are guys we've been talking about all during talking season. Cade Klubnik, Heisman Trophy candidate. Peter Woods, great defensive player for Clemson. And Dylan Stewart had a great freshman season for the Gamecocks, and they're going to be looking at him now to be the anchors and the standout guy on that defensive line for the Gamecocks. So, Kevin, your thoughts?
Yeah, and they had a couple guys on the second team as well. I believe it was Blake Miller at offensive tackle, T.J. Parker at the edge for Clemson, and then Jelon Kilgore at defensive back for South Carolina on the AP All-American second team. So a lot of representation for both the Tigers and the Gamecocks as they get ready to kick off in a couple of weeks, Tegan.
Yeah, no, definitely exciting for them. I'm curious to see how they all do and if they live up to being on those teams. But I wanted to throw in some Coastal here quick because the quarterback situation still a question mark for Coastal, and now it's an even more complicated situation. The Chants, lots of quarterbacks vying for that position this year. Emmett Brown, however, the San Jose State transfer, will no longer be in that battle. He is out for the season via head coach Tim Beck with an undisclosed lower body injury that is ending his season. So now there are three quarterbacks really fighting for this starting role. The one that I think is going to come out in front is MJ Morris, the transfer from Maryland, who was also at NC State, where he worked with head coach Tim Beck. He recruited him there, so Tim Beck knows how he works. He liked what he saw, obviously. That's why he brought him to NC State. That's why he brought him here to Coastal Carolina. And we've got Samari Collier. He is a JUCO guy, won the JUCO championship there with Hutchinson Community College last year, I believe. And then Tad Hudson, the only guy that the Chants retained from last year. He played in one game for Coastal. He played in the Myrtle Beach Bowl versus UTSA. That was a brutal loss for Coastal Carolina, but he did have some time on the teal turf. So now it's really a battle between them, and then they've got a true freshman. But Tim Beck, saying it's really between those three guys. I think MJ Morris has a really good fight for getting that QB1 spot. We're going to be back with more Palmetto Sports Daily, though, this break.
And welcome back to this Monday edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. In our first block, we talked a little college football, and right now we're going to talk some NFL. Yesterday, I'm sitting in the man cave flipping around the channels, and I come across the New Orleans Saints preseason game. And former Gamecock Spencer Rattler, he's in with the Saints trailing 17-9 in the final minute of the game. And Spencer throws a touchdown pass, then runs in a two-point conversion, and the game ends in a tie, 17-17. So good work for Spencer here in the preseason as he's still looking to establish himself as a solid NFL quarterback. And so, yeah, it's the preseason, but he really looked like a guy in command out there, and he made some game-winning plays, and that's all you can ask for from your quarterback. Carmine?
Yeah, and like you said, it was clutch. I mean, Spencer Rattler, no offense to the Gamecocks fans out there, but last year as a starter, he went 0-7. So anytime you can get a glimmer of hope for season 2 after losing 7 and winning none in your first year is great. And he's also trying to fend off Tyler Shuck, who, guys, you might know this, but is actually older than Spencer Rattler. Tyler Shuck played forever in college. He's 25 years old. Spencer Rattler's 24 years old. Jake Hayner, another backup, is 26. So hoping that Spencer Rattler can hold on to that starting position that he currently has. And let's look at those stats. Rick, you mentioned the clutch factor, but Spencer going 18 for 24 passing, 199 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and a 95 QB rating, plus, like you said, the touchdown and 2-point conversion that tied the game. Tegan, optimistic or pessimistic that Rattler will hold on to this starting job for this next season?
You know, I'm cautiously optimistic. It's the preseason, and like we've said a whole bunch of times, the preseason doesn't really matter. You know, and I'd like to be optimistic for the Panthers as well after their 2 preseason losses. But, you know, a good performance from him. Always good to see Gamecock alum out there doing his best. But I'm cautiously optimistic. Kevin?
I'm optimistic that Rattler's going to keep the job just because I don't think there's anyone else on the roster that's worth giving the job to at this point. I'd rather they just throw Rattler out there for 17 games and see what he can do and whatnot. But let's also pump the brakes a little bit here because he was going against the Jaguars' third-string defense, guys who are going to be driving Ubers for the next couple of weeks after the rosters get cut down before the start of the season. So it's great for him to build his confidence, but also let's put no stock into what he's going to do against top-tier defenses once the season gets going in a couple of weeks here, Rick.
Yeah, I'd like to see Spencer stay in there. But, hey, how about those Carolina Panthers? Boy, losing again a preseason game, and they didn't look that great at all. He started most of his offensive starters. They only went like 2 series, and all they could manage for the entire game, a field goal. It takes me back to the initial seasons of the Carolina Panthers where it seems like all they could score for years, field goals. They probably had the most games scoring a total of maybe 6-9 points in a game in the history of the NFL. But what I saw this weekend doesn't make me too optimistic that the Panthers are going to turn things around and come close to a winning record. Carmine?
Yeah, that's a good point. So if you have fantasy football drafts coming up, maybe think about picking up the Panthers kicker, because there's probably going to be a lot of drives that get stalled, around the 20, 30, 40-yard line, get you some fantasy points. But, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because you'd like to see Bryce Young start building up some chemistry with these new wide receiver targets, Ted McMillan and Hunter Renfrow and some of the other guys you're bringing in with Gamecocks and Clemson ties, too. Not a good showing for the second game in a row. Third game will be later this week, hosting the Steelers on Thursday. So maybe they can get it going. I know you guys say the preseason doesn't matter, but I think it matters a little bit as far as like getting that chemistry, getting that flow, seeing, especially on offense, the timing. And, you bring in new guys like Rico Dowdle, the Gamecocks running back, to Carolina, get him some carries. So, but Kevin, it doesn't seem like you'll be optimistic on this either, I'm guessing.
Well, no, and I think what bothers me the most is that Canales has already said he's not going to play the starters coming up on Thursday in that final preseason game against the Steelers. I want to know what he saw in these first 2 preseason games that makes him think, all right, we're good to go and everything's set and can't wait to see what Bryce and the offense do in the regular season. I mean, these guys have been terrible. Bryce Young was 0 for 2 in this couple of series, only threw 2 passes, took a sack as well. I just don't see what he sees in this offense so far. Maybe he's seen it in practice, and that's great. Maybe in the joint practices they had with the Texans this past week and with the Texans, or I forget who it was the first week, but maybe he's seen something in those joint practices. But I haven't seen anything in these first 2 preseason games that makes me think that this offense is anywhere near ready to go once the regular season gets going. We're just getting going here on Palmetto Sports Daily. We're going to have more right after this.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. A lot of fans here in the Midlands are keeping their eyes on the Little League World Series in Williamsport because the Irmo team, they're representing the Southeast region. They won their first game 13-0 over Massachusetts. And by the time this program airs, their second game will be in the books, and they're taking on the Mountain region. We have one of our news anchors from WIS on the road with the Irmo Little Leaguers, and he had a chance to talk to them. And the guys, let's just say, they're all excited about playing in the Little League World Series and very optimistic about how their second game will turn out. Let's take a listen.
I think we're going all the way to Sunday.
What's it like going in that stadium?
The energy's crazy, and everybody's on their feet. I think the score is probably going to be like 10-4 us.
Hey, gotta love the optimism, and boy, they're having a time up there. Got to see some major league teams play, the New York Mets in Seattle. But Kevin, would you place any money on a game played by 11 and 12-year-olds?
Would I? Rick, who are we talking to here? Come on. We should note that South Carolina is the favorite today. They're at minus 255 to beat Nevada. They're also at plus 300 to win the entire United States bracket. That is the fourth best odds behind Hawaii, South Dakota, and Connecticut. Now, this has become kind of a controversial topic over the last week because the Little League World Series released a statement last week pleading with people not to place bets on these Little League World Series games, saying that you shouldn't be placing money on 11-year-old games. I wanted to see what you guys thought about that, starting with Tegan.
Oh, gosh. I think that people will put money on anything. People bet on the color of the Gatorade at the Super Bowl, and the amount of money that people can win from that is crazy. Now, do I think we should be putting this pressure on these kids? No, not necessarily, but I think people are going to do it anyway. Would I do it? No, definitely not. Carmine?
Well, first of all, just a quick disclaimer. Obviously, in the state of South Carolina, we can't do that. So let's put that out there right off the bat.
Unless we drive to Charlotte.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, you go over the state line, all of a sudden it's a different game, and you're betting on the Westminster Dog Show, possibly on whatever you can find. But as far as the pressure, Tegan, I think that's a good point. I think the pressure is already there because you're in that huge stadium, like the youngsters from Irmo were saying. You're on ESPN, ESPN2. You're playing for the national championship at your age, so I think it's already there. Now, do I think it's smart to bet on them? No, because it's even less predictable than college and way less predictable than the pros. But, it's your money. If you want to do that with it and there's the available option in your state, then go for it. Just like what my mom always told me when I went to the casino, just bring it in and assume it's going to be lost. With that, whatever money you bring in, that's gone. And then you have much less of an attachment to it. But Rick, what do you think? It is very strange, though, I will say, to place bets on kids who aren't even teenagers yet.
Yeah, I mean, come on. We can't be doing this. I mean, little leaguers, what's next? You're going to be betting on Saturday morning T-ball games? Nah, it's way out of line. And, hey, if you've got that much money just to throw away, I mean, really, you're going to be throwing it away. I just don't get it. But, nah, stop it, please. Kevin?
I mean, I don't think it's out of line, Rick. I mean, there's millions of dollars on the line for these games already. ESPN brings in a ton of money for advertising when these games go on. The CEO of the Little League World Series brings in a six-figure salary every year. I don't think it's right for them to be saying, hey, let's not put pressure on these kids and let's not have money exchanging hands over what these kids are doing when they're bringing in six figures for the CEO and millions of dollars for the TV company as well. I think that's hypocritical.
Hey, and then, hey, look. You're going to have some guy offering the kids probably all the Big Macs they can eat if they can, hey, let's throw this game. Kevin.
Oh, well, now that's different.
Look
different.
what you're advocating.
Bribing is different. Rick, that's something totally different.
I'm not trying to fix the Little League World Series here, Rick. I'm just saying I might throw a couple bucks on Nevada pulling off an upset today, +3.
No bribery for these poor kids. And this day and age, they probably need a lot more than Big Macs to throw the game. But we don't want any Black Sox scandal on the Little League level. We'll be right back with more quality content right after this, guys.
Welcome back to Palmetto Sports Daily. Producer Nick has told me to pick a fight with Rick to kill the last minute 30 of this show and ask him why I shouldn't place a little bit of money on Nevada to pull off an upset today against South Carolina. So, Rick, what do you got?
Well, again, I say we shouldn't be betting on Little League games. And Kevin, I guess you are a guy who would probably bet on the Saturday morning T-ball games, putting even more pressure on more kids who,
Check.
all they know is basically cartoons and juice boxes. So what are you going to be advocating for next, Kevin? I mean, let's go ahead.
All right.
Let's throw
First
some
off,
NIL money at these guys as well.
First off, Rick, you are severely underestimating what 6-year-olds are watching these days because they're on YouTube literally all afternoon. I know from firsthand experience. If we want to get some NIL money for my 9-year-old playing flag football this week, I'm open for business. The email is there. You can find me on social media. I'm ready to start taking cash for that. So please sign up. I'm good.
I don't see why not. I mean, I think you could set up, Kevin, a little booth, Billadoo the bookie or something like that, where you got hamburger, hot dog at the Little League football or basket or baseball game. And then, hey, with that extra change, why don't you place it on Irmo right here to pull off the big one?
Yeah, and
I just need somebody to pay for the gas so I can drive up to North Carolina and make the bets.
And how soon before there'll be a scandal where somebody is paying off the umpires? Oh, you can imagine the
You don't think
you
we've
can
had that
only
already?
imagine the controversy there. What are you doing? Calling that a strike? Oh my. Okay.
It happens already.
Heaven help us. Okay, that's going to do it for this edition of Palmetto Sports Daily. Have a good evening.